Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture, let's go ahead and let's try to design our site in a much more better way. So right now, if you look at the look and feel of our website, it actually looks quite outdated because if you have a look at the login page, our login page actually looks pretty boring. So what we will do here is that we'll try to improve the design of our website. And I know that this stuff is not Django related. It actually requires some bootstrap skills to do so, but we are going to do that anyways so that we know how to at least style our Django website in a decent manner. So let's go ahead and get started. So what we will do is that we'll start off with designing the login page in a much more better way. We will go to the login page, which is actually present in our users app, and in here, instead of simply having this form, we'll actually go ahead and write in proper code so that this page actually looks better. So for now, what we will do, we will start off from the start. And first of all, you need to make this page extend the base template so that it can actually use the Bootstrap theme. So the base template is nothing but the template which is actually present in our food app. So what you can simply do is that you can extend from that template. So here, let's go ahead and use the regular syntax for extending from a template. So we will type in extends, and we want to extend from food/base.html. So now, once we are done with this, let's actually go ahead and have the as usual block body and end block quotes. So whenever you are extending from somewhere, you also need to have the block body and end block tags over here. So I'll type in block body over here, stating that the body of our page starts from here. So that's going to be block body. And now let's go ahead and type in end block over here. Okay, so once we are done with this, what I will do is that inside this particular block body, let's go ahead and paste this form and let's see how exactly it will look like. And let's hope that the Bootstrap styling is applied to this particular form right now. So when I hit refresh, as you can see, as we have extended from the base template, we already have this navigation bar. And also now the form actually looks much more better as now we are using Bootstrap. But still it does not look as professional as we want it to be. So let's go ahead and style that even in a much more better way. So for now, I'll just cut this from here, paste it up over here. And in here we will create some or use some Bootstrap classes so as to style the elements in a much more better way. So in Bootstrap, what you do is that you have something which is called as a container and you place each and everything inside that container. So let's go ahead and create a container class over here. So I'll type in div, that's going to be class, and let's name this thing as container. And now inside this container, we as usual have a row. So I'll type in div, the class is going to be row. And within this row, we are actually going to create a column. So I'll type in div class equals call-md-4, meaning that we want a column which actually spans 4 Bootstrap columns. And also, when we go ahead and create this particular column, we need to add some elements to it. So in here, in order to actually display the login, we actually use something which is called as a card. So in order to use a Bootstrap card, you simply need to create a div, create a class for that div, and assign a class called as card. So now once you have this card, the card actually has a header and a body. So in order to define the card header, you type in div class, that's going to be card header, which is the class for defining the card header. And here you can also specify the properties of the text. So your card is going to be nothing but it's actually going to be a container which is going to hold your form, and the card is going to have two parts: the header which says something like login, and the body which is actually going to have the input fields. So for this, let's go ahead and end this card header over here, and inside this card header we actually want a title which says login. So again, I create a div class, and the class for the card title is called as card-title. And now let's define the title as, let's say, login. And now once we have this title, now we can go ahead and actually create the card body. So the card header actually ends over here. So now from here we will start the card body. So I'll type in div class, that's going to be card dash body. And now in here we will actually go ahead and paste the form which we have. So let's go ahead, get the form from here, and let's try to paste the form in here. Now if you go to the site and if you hit refresh, as you can see, now we have the login form, but the form actually looks still pretty boring and dull. So now let's go ahead and make a few changes in here. So the first change which we will make is that we will make this form appear to the center of the screen rather than to the extreme left over here. So how exactly can we do that? We can do that by adding the offset to this particular column in which we have the form. So in order to add offset, you use the offset class in Bootstrap. So you type in offset dash md dash, and here we want to offset by 4 columns. So I'll add 4 over here. And now if you go back and hit refresh, as you can see, now our form will be present in the central location. So now once that thing is done, let's go ahead and also change the color of this particular card header. So let's say if you want to make it into a blue color, so what you can do for that purpose is that you can go into the card header, and in here you can mention a property which is called as the background, and you can type in info over here for blue color. So now when you go ahead, hit refresh, as you can see, this is actually present in the blue or aqua color, and it looks much more better. Now on this aqua color, let's say if you want to have a white font for the login, you can also type in a class which is called as text dash white, and now as you can see, this is going to turn into white. Now one more thing which you might have noticed here is that these particular fields, which is the username and password, so you can also style those individual fields using Bootstrap as well. Now how exactly can you do that? So in order to style individual fields in Bootstrap, what you can do is that first of all you need to be able to access those fields in an individual manner. So right now, as you can see, we don't actually have any kind of field over here. Instead, we directly have this particular form. So how exactly can you get access to individual field inside this form? So in order to do that, let's first get rid of the form, and in here, instead of directly accessing a form, let's access the form field. So in order to access the form field, you can go ahead and use a for loop and type in for field in form, and by using this you actually get to access each and every individual field inside your form. And now let's also make sure to end this. So I'll type in end for to end this particular for loop, and in here now we actually have access to each one of those fields using this field variable. So now what we will do is that we'll place those each individual element inside a class or a Bootstrap class which is called as form group. So I can type in div class, that's going to be form dash group, and now inside this particular class we can use these form fields. So in order to access the form fields, I'll type in field, and first of all we would want the name of the field, and then we want the input field itself. So I'll type in field over here. So now once we go ahead and save that, we are pretty much good to go. And now if we go back over here and hit refresh, as you can see, now the field looks a little bit better as compared to the previous ones. And now let's go ahead and also style up this button over here by assigning it a Bootstrap class. So the class is going to be actually btn-info to give it a blue color. So now if you go back over here and hit refresh, as you can see, now your form looks a lot better than the previous one, as now you have the fields and everything styled up correct. So that's it for this lecture, and hopefully you guys were able to understand how to style your login form in a decent manner using Bootstrap and a little bit of Django. So the only Django part which we have learned here is that how you can access individual fields inside a form by using a for loop. So in the upcoming lecture, what we will do is that we'll also go ahead and style the register page as well. So if you go to register right now, as you can see, the page actually looks pretty dull and boring. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next lecture. Thank you.